Coming to you live from across America, the most dangerous people in the United States. It's the Trans Narrative Podcast.
Caroline, welcome to the Trans Narrative Podcast. Today, we are joined by Cynthia Grace as our co-host, along with Ocean Kane. And as our guest co-host today, we welcome back Salamander Brandy. And our guest today is Aiko Finesse, all the way from South Carolina. I'm super excited to have all of you here together. And with that being said, how you doing, Cynthia?
Oh, your favorite bad girl's doing good. Just how can we say this? Trying to stay how do I put this? Not caught by certain law enforcement agencies, but otherwise I'm doing good.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a scary world out there now for us. And Ocean Kane, hi, it's good to see you. Thanks for joining us last minute.
Yeah, no problem. Glad to be here, of course.
So glad to have you here. And Salamander Brandy, it's so good to have you here as well with us.
Hello. Hi.
Hi.
Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. It's so good to have you. Really quick, if you're able to, Aiko and Salamander, are you able to rotate your phone horizontal so that the background shows itself? There we go. Beautiful. Sorry, I'm just picky. And Salamander, I know what you did. You did the screenshotting, so it does it vertical. You cheated.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I cheated. Thinking outside of the box. That's what we do.
I love it. I love it. So, and Aiko, it's so good to have you finally here. We were going to meet up last year, but it never happened. So I'm really glad to finally have you here with us on the show.
Yes, I'm grateful to be here. I appreciate it.
Yes, so glad you're from one of my I like the ocean of South Carolina. So that's
Yeah.
I was gonna say South Carolina is one of my favorite states, but it's just the ocean part that I like. Just the
Yeah.
very much a select part.
That's the only part I like.
Absolutely. Folly Beach, if you're familiar with that part of Charleston. That's
Charleston, yeah.
I love
And I'm
Charleston.
actually I'm right near Hilton Head Island now. That's where my wife is from. So we close to the water right now.
I can see the smile and joy on your face of living next to the ocean. I can just it's the best.
So free.
It is.
Yes.
It's absolutely the best place to be. So before we get started, Aiko, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I was born and raised in a small town called New There, South Carolina. I grew up I went through a lot growing up as a kid. I battled with identity a lot, very confused, you know. I've always been into the arts of writing, of course, poetry, and I found myself DJing about 10 years ago, and I feel like the rest is history. I stepped into my transition around 32, and it's just really that moment of it took losing a very close friend of mine that died at a young age, and for me, it was just realizing that I could be in this box and I'm not walking in my truth. I'm not happy with what I see in the mirror. So I started my transition, and the rest is just really history. I've just been taking off ever since then.
How has your transition like impacted like when it comes to like your lyrics and your music?
Honestly, since transition, I haven't really wrote much. The only thing I've came close to writing since transition, and my mom passed away when I first started. And so I actually ended up after, and then transitioning and grief is when I actually wrote a song that I actually posted to my YouTube. And it really just spoke on transitioning and going through grief at the same time, and knowing how my mom felt because right when my mom actually found out, you know, my truth, and she ended up passing away like right after surgery. So for me, it's just was an outlet. Like that was my way of getting it out, because sometimes, you know, we can go to therapy, we can talk to friends. So since transitioning, I haven't really wrote like I used to. I actually ended up writing one song since transitioning, and it talked about transition, but also grieving because I lost my mom as soon as I started. So that was my outlet for it. Just really getting it out because we can sit and we can talk to a therapist, or we can sit and talk to family and friends. But from you, music, like when I'm really, really feeling it, is my biggest outlet. When it comes to writing. But yeah, that's pretty much the only song that I actually put out since transitioning. I mostly DJ so much now, and it's like I'm not gonna say that I gave up on music, but it's not as a big thing as it was when I first started doing it.
Always come back to it.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's why when I wrote that song, when it came to me, I knew it was because it was so much on my heart. I was going through so much mentally at the same time that I was able to write that, because that's mostly where a lot of my music came from and it comes from. Like I really have to really be going through it to actually sit down and be like, you know what, I want to put this on, I want to put this on the song, I want to record this just to get it off my chest. So I knew that's how heavy it was on me for me to actually sit down and wrote a song, because I hadn't wrote a song in like maybe 4 years before transitions.
So what kind of what? Oh,
I was going to say, how many people have reached out to you, letting you know that the music have connected with them, Because I'm pretty sure it helps other people as well, right?
Yeah.
I would love to listen to it.
I started. Oh yeah, since transitioning, I started blogging. And once I started blogging and just like really putting it out there, because when I started, I was so lost. Like I didn't know what to do. I didn't know who to talk to. I maybe reached out to maybe like 2 or 3 trans guys that I follow on Instagram. But since like putting it out there, like I've met so many guys. I think last year was my first year of like really meeting so many people like me that, just from putting my story out there, I get hit with well, how do I do the name change? Or a lot of
Aiko, we're having a disconnect on the audio. It's really cutting up really bad.
oh god.
Nothing still. This is the sad parts of the internet is when it doesn't connect sometimes. This happens. It's the saddest thing for me. Aiko, are you still there? Can you hear me? It's because there you go. Aiko, how long until you're back home? What'd you say?
How long we got? Huh? Like 16 minutes.
Oh shit.
Oh,
The
God.
audio is really off on here. That's the only issue, is it keeps cutting out. 16 minutes. That would put us at having you back here at 2:05, 2:04. I don't know if we could do that. That'd be a lot of time lost. With that, I don't know what to do here. I'm lost. Cynthia, any ideas?
Well, we can
Y'all
start.
can't hear me at all?
Oh, we hear you now.
Yeah, I hear y'all just fine.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
I
were
can hear you.
chopping up.
Okay, now your
You hear me
audio is a
now?
little better. Yeah, it's a little better now. I don't know what you did. Oh, are you connected through Bluetooth?
I don't know. Yeah, I took my Bluetooth off and y'all still couldn't hear me.
Well, we can hear you now much
That's
better.
perfect. That's perfect.
Okay.
I hear you now.
Okay.
Okay, we're good. Okay, let's continue. So I don't know where we left off, but
Bluetooth.
yes,
Do it
gosh.
again. Damn you, Bluetooth. Ah.
I thought. Okay.
I don't
Y'all
know
hear
where we
me?
were. Yeah, we can hear you now. We can hear you now. Maybe we can
Okay.
start. Maybe we'll just, yeah. So, I can, so So you DJ right now, right?
Yes.
What kind of music do you DJ?
Really whatever they want. Mostly, of course, hip hop, R&B. I like '90s R&B and hip hop. I spin reggae. I actually had a clientele where I couldn't play nothing but country and pop, and they loved it. So, whatever the customer wants, I play it.
Nice.
Yeah.
So given your ties to the queer community, like how often would you say that you will DJ in like queer oriented spaces?
Depending on the promoter, that's actually where I first started. I did a lot of, LGBT clubs or a lot of LGBT parties, which I do a lot of those in Columbia. I've done I've DJed for Charlotte Pride. So now I'm in those spaces a lot. I think the only time I'm not is when I'm more of like a wedding, which I've done LGBT weddings as well. But it's kind of back and forth. I'm still gonna do my LGBT parties regardless. So it's pretty much a back and forth thing.
That's so. Do you ever engage with people with a political spectrum and anything like that as well? Does that anything have any influence over your work?
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
That's what's up.
Yes.
Well, because the reason why I ask is I feel like we're at a critical point right now in history and stuff. So I'm trying to get people involved as much as possible, and
yeah.
like I said, I think it's about the art. They want to control what we think, what we see, how we do things like that, and I think the music is a good way to fight back as well.
Oh yes. And I it's like, I don't know, like the whole situation is so much going on. It just make you sit and wonder, like, wow, like you would think that, at one point when it was just, coming out as being gay, what we had to fight for, especially when it came to like same-sex marriages and stuff like that, because I hadn't transitioned yet, so I was, caught up in that. Like, well, I mean, what if I want to get married, to a woman, like, and they trying to stop it. And it's like now when you transition, and it's like y'all really like it's like it gets deeper. And it's like when I first started transitioning, I wouldn't even thought that, we would be dealing with the stuff that, as far as like, when it comes to trying to change laws and stuff. And it's like, wow, like sometimes it just put me at a speechless moment. Like, I don't even know what to say sometimes. Like, is this really the world right now? Like, that it bothers people that much on what somebody is doing with their life. Like, we're not hurting nobody. We're not harming nobody.
As you see in Tennessee, in reality, they want probably a lot of times these folks want to come out the closet themselves, but they mad because they can't. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
Like shit. Y'all see the thing about the lieutenant governor?
I see that. Now that's hilarious. Oh my God.
Delicious.
I love how he's commenting, the comments he made.
Right?
No.
It's like, seriously, how the hell are you not considered part of the LGBTQ community when you're commenting on someone who is completely naked and saying how great they looking?
You can turn a rainy day into rainbows and sunshine. It's rain over here in Memphis. We need some Finn booty over here. Damn it, if we could do all that. we need some booty. We need Finn boy booty to turn all this rain to sunshine. We make it bright up in here. We about to do this parade regardless.
Well,
that's where we're headed
to. There can help with a certain Instagrammer, make things a little bit brighter.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah.
Spread that sunshine around.
You said you're heading to a parade, Salamander?
Yes, we're heading to a pride parade on Bill Street. I believe we're supposed to be helping Marthy carry a flag down Bill Street. So
really,
oh yes. So we're gonna try to try to get down there and because it's been nonstop. We're gonna still be in these folks' faces. Right now I'm trying to get my county commissioner to to pass an ordinance that I drafted up myself and to fight back against these pigs, against people who abuse trans women and shit. As I said, on the 23rd, before I was like arrested and stuff like that, on the 1st of March, like you missing your turn. I had a sheriff deputy walk in on me and follow me into the women's bathroom and force the stall open, like literally forced me to like pee in front of them. You know what I'm saying?
God.
Yeah, like nobody want to do anything about it. So I drafted up an ordinance to like push it on local level. I try to think global, act local. You know what I'm saying? I think this whole thing is decided by the laws. We need to change the laws however, in as best way we possibly can. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because even with the bathroom, it's like, why would I go into a female's bathroom looking the way I look? Like, make it make sense. Like, make it make sense.
Right? Like
that.
People just want to control people, man. Like they can't be out, so they want to put everybody else in the closet. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of being quiet about it. Like, let's be real. It's a spectrum. It's not like a one on, off on thing. You know what I'm saying? And it's just,
even like I speak on it, like I will make comments, especially like on Instagram, and of course I have people coming at me, because I'm tired of reading like y'all are pushing it on our kids. How?
We don't have kids. We don't have kids.
One and two, who are the people? Y'all, it's like you want to blame it on the community, but you're not talking or going at the people who's actually writing it and putting it in cartoons and all this other stuff. Like, to a certain extent, no, it shouldn't be in a cartoon. Like, come on, like,
but that's the thing though. They push heterosexuality on kids in cartoons all the time.
Exactly.
It's like literally, like, it's just people telling stories from their lives and perspectives. Yep. But I feel like it's a whole gay erasure of light and colors and shit like that. Everything gotta be black and white. It's bull. It's BS. It's BS. Yeah.
Oh, come on. Real. Admit something. I mean, if the world was just black and white, it'd be dull, it would be boring, it would be pathetic. Okay.
Right.
Because, and I've said this before to people, it doesn't matter what culture, the best artworks are the ones that the masters have of their craft have used a good blend of not only warm colors, but cool colors, as well as lights and shadows.
Right.
In their creations, and you can see it, and that's what I tell people. When you start removing colors from those paintings, you take away the meaning of that painting.
Right.
All the expressions, all the reds, the blushes, there's so many hues, and all the debates about the color yellow. It's so much you're just killing. Like, you're killing color, you're killing love, and killing light, man. I'm just like, all those people who were the masters and stuff like that, I'm pretty sure they weren't worried about somebody who, especially the fucking Romans, and you know what I'm saying? Like, they weren't worried about who's sniffing who. They were worried about getting the best shot, the best articulation of the mode. Come on, let's be real.
Yeah.
Like, we would have better things if people weren't so scared and frustrated about who's sniffing who, who's stuffing who. You know what I'm trying to say? I'm not
because I would never understand that. Again, people are worried about the wrong thing. Why should I care about what somebody's doing in their backyard? That's not my business. And then this big talk about them trying to stop minors from transitioning. Well, I'm trying to figure out which state y'all talking about, because I know the state of South Carolina, you can't medically transition till you're 18.
That would be my state.
And then two, why should I worry about what somebody is doing with their child? That's their child.
Right.
That's their kid. I can't walk in somebody's house and tell them, oh, don't let your daughter do this, or don't let that's their kid. And then two, y'all are so stuck on an age. I knew before 12 that I was not comfortable as a female. Stop thinking that kids don't have feelings. Stop thinking that kids don't know what they
think we're just automatons and shit. They thought kids treat children like they're automatons, man. Like, they idealize childhood so much that it really forgets about reality. And they try to stretch it out as long as possible. That's why you got these big ass man babies, child adults. You know what I'm saying? Because people like stretch out this ideal of childhood. In reality, man, shit, man, people are gonna be like the rest of the community, man. People are gonna be what's out there. You can't really separate you can't separate the gay because the gay has always been part of the community. You know what I'm saying? The LGBT has always been there. We always been here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think my biggest thing too is people always they get identity mixed up with sexuality. Identity and sexuality is two different things.
Right.
And that's something that I always have to kind of explain to people too, because I've had, even people in the LGBTQ plus community, like I didn't think about it like that. I'm like, yeah, I mean, just because this guy goes from female to male does not mean he's going to date a woman. Why? Because identity and sexuality is two different things.
Right.
It's two different things. So I hate, and I've had people, you can't, I'm not finna be teaching my son and you can't teach somebody what to identify as. That is a feeling.
Right.
I didn't grow up around anybody trans. I didn't grow up around nobody gay in my family. So, but look at me. Look at me. Look at me. So I just.
Well, I got a couple questions. Over in my state, we just recently passed a horrendous anti-trans bill that basically forbids children under the age of 18 to get any form of gender-forming care. And I just recently went on the news yesterday, and I made the claim that the Republican Party is trying to eradicate us. Do you feel that?
They said that themselves. I'm sorry.
I don't. Under 18. What state are you in?
Oh, I'm in a galaxy far, far away. We call it South Dakota.
Oh, you're in South Dakota. See, that's why I have to do my research, because when I heard it, I'm like, well, what state is allowing kids to transition under 18 medically?
I pointed this out in the interview as well, that there is no, let me see, in the United States, it's illegal to have any surgeries for anyone who is under 18, but you can get the, the hormones, the hormone blockers.
Oh, okay.
So that's not entirely correct. The tenor stage 2, which is early onset puberty, pubertal suppressants can absolutely be introduced. And that was okay in like the country, and now many states are banning that as part of their gender affirming care bans. There are some you can get for trans men in some states, they can actually have top surgery, which is also being banned under gender affirming care. But because of the broad scope that gender affirming care falls under, it actually bans other forms of care like voice therapy, and just like the ability to actually get screened for gender dysphoria.
Wow.
Because gender affirming care is a very wide scope of care.
Okay, that's what I said, because I knew some of the stuff, and then it's like some stuff that was kind of like still gray to me, because I'm like, well, what, because
but yeah, like I said, my state out here, they've totally banned it, and I made the statement, like I said, that the Republican Party is trying to eradicate us. And
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
Ocean, do you know anything about, because I saw this on a TikTok, and I have yet to go in depth with research on this, but there was something from a Twitter account that had stated that there were over 2,600 emails written through representatives since 2019 that have been like coordinating between organizations and groups to get behind this, what they're currently doing. I forget the group's name, but
I have not heard of this. This is not something I would have to take a look into.
We'll edit that part out. That's not going to be part of that part. So
yeah, my partner is like, oh, I keep on Twitter. I remember this. He said Maya Crime W. Maya Crime W. Yeah.
Yes,
Crime
exactly.
She's a cat girl. She literally leaked it. Yay, cat girls. But for real though.
She didn't like leak it herself. She only published it.
Yeah.
But if like everyone needs to be like reading that and I personally haven't been able to pull it up myself because you have to like torrent it and like I don't know all that, but I mean,
Yeah.
they've been planning.
So
this
wait, hold
shit
on,
for a while.
So Salamander, is that your partner talking?
Yes, that's my partner talking. Could you
Well,
hear them?
yeah, I heard a little bit. Can you introduce them really quick since they're speaking? I'd like if they're gonna. We need to know who they are, if that's okay.
This is my partner Zoe. They use he/they pronouns, and they are my little lifesaver. They're awesome. They're my partner. Hey, Zoe.
Oh,
Hi, Zoe.
They're
hey,
driving.
Zoe.
Hey.
So
Thanks for that information. I really appreciate you backing that up there. We're gonna do a lot more research on that before
Yeah,
we go
yeah,
too
they're
far
my
into detail with
research
that.
team.
Are they?
Yeah, my research team and astrologer. Like they're my head astrologer.
Astrology? Well, that's a
Yes.
different story. We'll get into
Yeah.
that at a different time. But Aiko,
Yeah.
so now is so you're not so is it tough, following all of this stuff that's happening? I mean, because a lot of us, like, I consider myself like a trans activist. So, like, I am like every single day, like, I watch the transphobic videos just to be aware of like the rhetoric being pushed. And it's very like it's hard on the mind to do that. And Ocean here engages a lot with people on TikTok debates, which can be taxing on the mind as well. But it's important to do that. So is that, when you hear about these things, how does that make you feel? Just hearing that, like this overwhelming amount of like terror that's being pushed upon us.
You
And I
want to know
think
how you
that's why, I kind of try to keep it to a certain extent just for my own mental. So for me, it's just more of I've my advocacy wise is more of not only putting my story out there, but to especially for my trans men to help them feel important, help them be loved, and to like really have a brotherhood because a lot of them don't have the support like I have. A lot of them don't have parents that support them. So I think that's more where I come into play versus the political side and everything that's going on. Now when I am strolling Instagram or mostly Instagram and I see something that I don't like, I'm quick to say something. And of course, when I say something, I get the backlash. I get I think I responded to something last week. I got called what did that lady call me? I think it was a lady or a guy. I got called a coward and I need to be locked up, and she called me something else, and I'm just like, bruh, like,
Wow.
so to a certain extent, I kind of dip in here and there, but to protect my mental, I'll kind of, that's enough. Let me fall back and regroup, to protect my mental. Because I mean, people, especially on the internet, they can be dicks, And for me, it's more of when I do share that, like prime example that what I just talked about on Instagram, I screenshotted it and I shared it to my Facebook. And the reason why I shared it because even though I share my story, it's not always unicorns and rainbows. Transition ain't always unicorns and rainbows. There's an ugly side to it. And if I have to show that side, I have to show you this is the BS that comes with it. It's not just the looks and I'm happy. It's not always that. And when I posted it, I had another trans guy come at me and like, well, you're feeding too much into it because I wouldn't even post it and you just dwell on, like, just move on. And I was like, I didn't share it to dwell on it. I to show is what we deal with. Like this is the kind of stuff that we deal with on a regular basis, just waking up and being ourselves. This is what I want you to see. I'm not dwelling on it, but I want you to see, and I want other trans guys that's coming behind me that's starting out a couple of months, a year in, because I just hit 3 years. That even though people may come at you in this way, don't let it get to you. You know what I'm saying? Like it's only words. They can't harm you. If they saw you walking the street, they don't know, they don't even know what you are. They see a man. So don't let this kind of talk get into your head. Still wake up, be you, still wake up and be yourself. So
100.
When it comes to the political side of everything, I'll chime in here and there, but I take in as much as my mental can handle it, and then I'll fall back out. So yeah.
where do you
But
go when you fall back out of
Self-care
it?
is revolutionary. I'm sorry.
Where do I Oh,
Yeah, like where do you go? Like what is your reprieve when you needed to take a step back from looking at that at the like the political lens?
for me, I kind of just sit in my zone of music is my outlet. Like I love music. Just far from being a DJ, like music is just it's my coping mechanism. And for that, it's like, and I also now sit and I just think about how far I came, and the trials that I went through to get to where I'm at. Um, because I have to keep me sane because people look up to me. People look up to me that I didn't know or felt looked at me. So I got to stay strong. And if I break, I show that breakage. I show the tears, like I show the fear, because we can't be 100% every day. Like I'm human. So I take that me time for a second. I think one time I took like a 30-day away from social media.
Each week on the Transnarrative Podcast, we want to highlight a piece of the bigger stories that impact our lives, the laws and attitudes and cultures that can help or hinder us as transgender people in the United States. The stories that cisgender people want to tell for us or about us are going to be missing in critical details. They won't help us to clear up our perspective. We want to show how we've struggled, how we are struggling, and also how we will overcome.
Hello, my badass boys and badass babes. It's your favorite bad girl, the Black Hills, Virgo, the Vixen. And today on Capturing the Narrative, guess what that means? It's, yes, you know what it means. It's drag story time with your favorite bad girl, the Black Hills. So gather around, my little badass boys and badass babes, for today, the Vixen has a lovely tale. And today's tale comes from us from the place called National Harbor, Maryland. Now, why am I choosing this place? Well, let me tell you why. This week, or I should say last week, the Republicans decided to meet there for their annual convention, and their annual convention was called CPAC. For those of you who don't know what CPAC stands for, let me tell you, in my opinion, this is what CPAC stands for. The Center of Perverts and Criminals. Yes, you heard what I said. In my opinion, CPAC stands for the Center of Perverts and Criminals. Now, people ask, well, why would you say that? Well, let me tell you why, because of some of their headliners. The first one is a retired NRT salesman by the name of Donald Trump, who's in charge of a criminal organization. Yes, Donald Trump is in charge of the Trump organization that was recently convicted of tax fraud. And also, he is a pervert. Why do I say that? From a certain Access Hollywood tape that said you should grab wind by the meow. All right. So another one of their speakers is Steve Bannon. And this guy was convicted for stealing people's money on the Build the Wall project and was pardoned by the former NRT salesman Donald Trump. Another one of the speakers is in my opinion, a wannabe hoe by the name of Marjorie Taylor Greene. She dresses like a cheap prostitute in expensive clothing. Okay, just keep that in mind. Then another one of the speakers there was Matt Gaetz. Well, if you want to, in my opinion, if you need to know anything about underage sex trafficking, talk to Matt Gaetz. He was investigated for it. Unfortunately, was not charged, but was investigated. And then finally, one of the last speakers that was at CPAC that let me see, how can I say this politely, was Lauren Pervert. Oh, I'm sorry, Lauren Pervert. Okay, who is this woman? She's from Colorado. She herself has a few minor records, and her husband was convicted for waving his little freak flag in front of some teenage girl. So let's just keep you in mind of who some of their major speakers were. But anyways, I want to focus in on one particular speaker who got a lot of headlines. His name was, oh yes, Michael Knowles. Now, who is Michael Knowles, you'll ask? Well, he's a writer for a paper called the Daily Wire, all right? Now, let me tell you something about who owns the Daily Wire. His name is Ben Shapiro, all right? Ben Shapiro is known for hating trans individuals big time, all right? And let me just give you a little bit of background on Ben Shapiro. He is really a little angry Republican, all right? Just keep in mind, this is the guy who said, if your wife ever has a wet ass meow, it's a medical condition and they should seek help. And please keep in mind, his wife's a doctor. All right, anyways, let's get back to what Michael Knowles said. And I want to make sure that you understand the severity of what this little troll said. Now, this is what he was referring to when he was talking about transgenderism. And I want to read you his quote. If it is false, then for the good of society, and especially for the good of the poor people who have fallen prey to this confusion, transgenderism must be eradicated from public life entirely. The whole ideology at every level. All right. So let me break down, in my opinion, what this guy was saying. All right. Let's look at the word eradicate. It is defined as to destroy or completely put an end to. All right, I don't know about you, but when someone says we need to eradicate transgenderism at every level, we should be definitely afraid, because that to me means to wipe us out. Now, the question is, why do they want to try to wipe us out? I think we need to look at that a little bit more. Okay, do they fear us? I think they do, and here's why. I think they have repressed sexual issues, and they fantasize about people like us, because let's face it, some of us look better and dress better than they do, especially they're women. I mean, let's face it, we know how to apply makeup. Our makeup does not look like a box of crayons exploded and gang raped our faces, and that's what it comes out to. I think they have a sexual, how can I say this? A unnatural sexual desire in their opinion, and they're afraid to explore it. So they come up with these nasty thoughts and nasty feelings about getting, get rid of us. But here's the thing, though. No one has gone and called this guy out publicly. All right. Now, is Mr. Knowles a doctor, or does he have like a training in medical? No. Let me tell you what his training is in. He has a bachelor's degree in history and Italian literature. All right. So does this guy have any clue medically? No. Does he have any clue what it means to be a trans woman psychologically or a trans male? No, he doesn't. So he has no clue what it means to be a trans individual. And so he's mouthing off about things that he doesn't know what he's talking about, just like every other Republican. So my badass boys and badass babes, I guess today's lesson on capturing the narrative is when a bunch of small penis Republicans and a bunch of female Republicans who don't know what orgasm is get together, they come up with some really crazy ideas, because let's face it, they're all repressed and they need to express this repressive urges in a very violent and ugly manner. Well, anyways, my badass boys, that's capturing the this week. Please stay safe, and remember, who's your vixen, and bye-bye.
Can I ask one question?
Mhm.
Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years from now? Like, what do you see? How do you think this is going to go?
Actually, I want to be on bigger platforms. For me, it's more of giving my trans community the visibility. You know, that's why I started doing trans threads on Facebook like 2 years ago, and I'm actually working on putting out a trans man calendar for 2024. So it's just so
I
we're
love
working on
that.
that. Yeah,
That's
and
dope.
I had the women come at me about it too, and I'm like, y'all give me time,
Ooh,
baby
ooh,
steps, because I
ooh.
tried to do the
Can I be Miss July?
we're
Really,
gonna talk about it.
really quick.
But
I
the
have
next
we have
5
I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt, but before I want you to answer that question again, we have to say goodbye to Cynthia because she has to go really quick. And so I'm sorry. So Cynthia,
Okay.
it was so good to have you here with us today. Thanks for being here.
Oh, thank you so much. Hopefully,
you.
every one of you will have a great and wonderful day and a fabulous weekend.
Thank you so much. It was so good to have you here.
You
We'll
too,
see you in a few
Cynthia.
weeks.
Oh, definitely.
All right. All right. That question again. Ask it again, Salamander, please.
So can I be Miss July?
I got you. We're gonna talk about it.
Okay, I'm
But yeah,
down.
the next 5 years, like I just but the next 5 years, I just really see myself bringing us in the community visibility. You know, we don't get a lot of chances to do certain things, and I want to be the person that, puts them in the spotlight.
Fuck yeah. Oh, sorry. Awesome. For real, for real. I love to hear that. And I always love calendars because like I have really bad attention deficit disorder and I get lost without it. So, you know, having a monthly reminder and having a monthly that's sexy too, because like everybody loves calendars. Everybody can do a
Yeah.
fancy. I love that. So please
Yeah.
keep doing you. I hope that grows. And like I said, I hope I can be Miss July.
I got you.
Please score. All right.
I like what you said there, Aiko. I heard you say a community of visibility. Could you elaborate a little bit more on what you mean by that?
Because for me, as when I started, the same guys would get posted, and it's always the guys that quote unquote in parentheses have the look. People would think that as a trans man is, oh, we're all muscle and we're all, facial hair and all the surgery, and it's not. It's so many of us out here that's not all what we represent. A lot of us aren't the masculine bodies, or we don't have the face full of hair. Some can't, don't get top surgery or bottom surgery. And that's what I want to show, that we're more than just that look. And a lot of guys don't, or feel they don't get that opportunity or get that chance because they don't quote unquote have that look. So even with the trans threads, that's why I started. It's like, hey, I'm not going to go find the buffest, trans man or who has the most facial hair. All you have to do is send me your picture and I will post you. Because we all exist. We all have different looks. We all have different features. We all don't have that quote unquote that look. So that's what I mean by bringing visibility across the border for all of us, and just giving every man that chance to be seen.
That sounds awesome.
So, what's that process like to get a calendar set up? How's that process going for you?
It's a lot. I actually tried it last year, and a lot of things didn't come together, and I had to kind of, put it on the back burner. And I DJ'd for a nonprofit, Trans Ally, in Columbia, South Carolina. I DJ'd a banquet for them. And they did it was Trans Awareness Week. They did in memory of all the trans lives that's been lost thus far. And so my donation to them was like, hey, anytime y'all need a DJ for an event, because I love the work that y'all doing, because they're actually working on providing housing for trans youth that get kicked out of their homes and stuff like that. So I was like, my donation to you guys, anytime you need a DJ for an event, I would do it for free if I'm available. So they, follow my social media, and once they saw that, the calendar didn't come through for me, how I hoped, Tamara, which is the founder of the nonprofit, she said, hey, like, what's going on with the calendar? And I was like, yeah, I tried it, it didn't go as I planned. So I'm revisit. And she was like, no, like, I need you to get this off the ground. Like, I need to see this happening. I need to see you win. And I'm like, okay. So long story short, they set me up with a meeting with a photographer, and they're actually going to sponsor me with the photographer. So I've just picked my 12, I think yesterday, and sent them to the photographer. So the process of it is, it's a lot, but to actually have somebody behind me and want to see the vision come true just as much as I want to see it come true, I think it's going to be successful because not only do I just want to put it out, I want to get it on shelves. I want to, get it in stores. I want to be able to do this every year. And every year that I do it, I know it's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger and catch more attention. So that's the plan of it. But the process so far, it's a lot. It's a lot, but I'm maintaining. And I feel like, I've been seeing this vision since I started transitioning, and I know God keeps showing it to me for a reason. So I know it's going to happen. So just trying to stay positive and stay leveled and get it done.
Hey, cool question. Okay, you spoke
Mhm.
a little bit about the parent side of the community. Could you tell us a little bit more of your experience with the parents? If anything that any interaction with parents? 'Cause I know that can be difficult and stuff. Like I had to break out a
Yeah.
trans man from his own home because like his mom was like holding him prisoner because he got a haircut. So that was like
Oh
pretty
God.
crazy. So yeah, like for real. So like I know parents can be like pretty
Yeah.
hectic sometimes. So like, do you have any experience similar?
For me, like I said, when I had my surgery back in June of 2019, my mom died August. So
Oh,
I was able to have that conversation with her, and at first she was like, "Oh, I see it on TV, I support you." And then the last encounter that we had face to face, it was like why would you do that to yourself? And we never talked about it again. And she didn't treat me any different. I did learn that after the day after I buried her, a friend of hers was like, she was like, I want to say something to you, but I want to wait till after the funeral and stuff like that. She's like, your mom told me that you had surgery, and I said, yes, ma'am. And she was like, well, I just wanted to let you know that we had a talk, and I was like, okay. And she said, my mom exact words were, it's not that I don't like it, it's just I'm older and I don't understand it, but I don't care what my child want to be. I don't care, at the time if she wants to be a man. I don't care if she wants to be a woman. That's gonna always be my child, and there's nothing that she can do that's gonna make me stop loving her. And that was my closure.
yeah.
That was my closure. Um, I felt, you know, I felt loved because my mom never showed me different. Um, she was always supportive no matter what I wanted to do. She was always that supportive parent, even if she didn't understand it. And my father has always been in my life, at a time when I was born, and my mom, she struggled with her alcohol addiction and she couldn't be a parent. And that my dad has always been there. I have always been a daddy's kid. My dad, he's old school, so I've tried to talk to him when I before surgery. He was like, and I was telling him about the suicidal thoughts. He was like, hey, well, you got to do stuff to keep your mind out, just talking old school because that's how he was raised. But overall, my father treats me no different. He's getting the pronoun together. He is coming along. And
As
for
parents
him,
do.
I didn't change my name. My mom named me Aiko Finesse, so I kept my name. I felt like this is my purpose because my mom gave me one of the coolest names. So, my name, the name issue is no issue because I didn't change it. But my father, he's just one of them parents like, hey man, you grown. You do what you want to do. As long as you ain't out here hurting nobody too. I got to jump on you and out here doing crazy stuff.
Right.
Live your life. So
Right.
parents wise, my parents, I'm grateful for them because I know people they have the opposite. But far wise as my
Yeah.
parents, I have not had no bad experience. I still got a couple family members still with the she that is getting on my nerves, and I've had to back away from. But parent wise, I'm grateful. I'm grateful.
So
That's
you've
what's
had
up.
this is your birth name, Aiko.
Yeah, yes, that's my birthday.
What? Oh my God. So and that's not traumatizing at all to have that name going forward in your transition?
It's not because I feel like it's so different. And people and I just think it's so funny because people be thinking, oh, it's a DJ name, or oh, it's just a Facebook name, or how did you come up with people know that I'm trans? But how did you come up with Michael? I didn't. I just feel like it's a part of my mom.
Oh my
I
God.
feel it's a part of my mom, and I tell people that God knows our life before we even put here. He
Right.
knows what's going to happen. He knows what you're going to go through. He knows how you're going to leave. Like, this is my purpose. My mom gave me that name for a reason, and
Same.
it's different and I love it. And it's crazy because I used to hate Aiko because people used to say it wrong. But I was like, it's different and it's so unique and it's a part of me and I love it. I mean, even though being trans, like, yeah, I'm a trans man, but at the end of the day, I knew what I was born. That's gonna always be a part of me, and I'm not ashamed of that. That's just a part of who Aiko is. I wouldn't be a trans man if I wasn't female first, So it's just a part of me. Things like that, it doesn't bother me at all. So
Something I always like to say, I always used to keep this on the low for people. Um, just because Brandy gets to live, Brandon doesn't necessarily has to die. So I feel
right.
that because my mom really loved that name, and she had to fight to give me that name. Because my father, stereotypical guy, named all my kids. My kids, I gotta name them. So my mom really fought for it. So I never really got rid of it. I just, I feel you though.
Mm-hmm.
Some things just
Yeah.
some names can't die sometimes.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah. I have a cousin like that. Her she's actually male to female, and she was talking about her name and because they named her after her dad, I think. So we kind of had that conversation, but of course she ended up changing it. But I just feel like it's a part of me. Like I would never be ashamed of that. It's just I'm Aiko. So
How'd you pick your name?
my mom,
Sorry.
my mom found it. Oh, my mom found my name on a movie called Kiss of Death. It's a Japanese movie. And she got Finesse from the shampoo when it came out in the 80s. So
A shampoo. That's good.
and I actually yeah, the shampoo and conditioner came out, it was Finesse. And it's crazy because my initials is the same as my grandfather on my dad's side. His name was Alan Frank Herbert, and I'm Aiko Finesse Herbert.
So can I ask you do you mind if I rewind a little bit to when you were talking about this community of this visibility? And how you feature people who put up like images no matter like what stage of their transition, no matter how they appear. Do you feel like within the trans community in the world, like around the trans community, outside of the trans community, that trans men like lack visibility or like an appropriate amount of visibility?
I think they do. And because I felt like that, I'm like, well, when I do see, projects or, the threads, and I'm like, it's always the same guy. Some of them I actually follow on Instagram. It's like, it's always the same guy. So that's the reason why I started the trend that I started because, I've had guys like, man, bro, like, I appreciate, like, thank you so much for, I never make these, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, wow, like, really? Like, because I don't have a beard. I've been transitioning for 3 years and my facial hair just started coming in. I feel like we do like visibility because I feel like they don't give a lot of guys a chance because they don't quote unquote have the look. And I hate that. Because we all have to start from the beginning. We don't automatically start on hormones and we got a beard in a month. Like we all start in that stage. And even on my blogs, when I post my videos and I try to, when I'm speaking on hormones, and I have to let guys know, like, everybody transition different. Like, don't get discouraged because your body's not doing this or your body's not doing that when you want it to do it. Like, let your body do what it needs to do. Don't rush the process, So I feel like, yeah, we do look.
Shit, I still got my beard.
Do you
well, let me get it because I'm still
you feel that
Baby, you can have it.
Go ahead, Brandy.
Grow fully. Even before I started. I'm sorry, baby. I didn't mean to interrupt. But
please go ahead.
But no, you can have this beard. It doesn't even grow all the way. None of the men's beards in my family grow all the way, so it's like a half moon beard. It's always a goatee, like the with Joe Dirt. It just grows that way. So you can have it, baby. So there you go.
Do you feel like a lot of trans people rush to to try to get like as quick as possible through their transition? Do you feel like trans people don't take their time enough
I
to figure
do.
it out themselves?
And I do, and that's dangerous. I've seen a guy, he got on hormones, he had his top surgery done, and like 3 or 4 months later, he was on the table getting something else done. And I'm like, bro, like you not even giving your body time to heal. And that's why I stress that so much. Like I get it, because when you first start off, it's exciting. You doing the shot, and you waiting for this to happen and waiting for that to happen. But it's like it's your body. Like give it time. Don't rush it, because you rushing it, you can mess up something. And I'm big on, making sure guys get there. I go get my levels checked every 6 months, because something can go wrong. I've ran across guys that, they had to come off T because it was messing with their blood pressure, or I got a friend now that it's something with his hemoglobin that he has to donate blood before he even gets testosterone. So it's like, stay on your monthly checkups, because testosterone is I think it's a narcotic. Because even my
It's a
doctor had to
controlled
feel me.
substance.
Yeah, controlled substance. And even my doctor, she schooled me when I first got on, which is why I love my doctor so much, because she has a lot of trans patients, and she really is on making sure your organs and everything is functioning like it's supposed to, because she's like, I don't want to poison your organs. And I'm like, dang, you can do that? So, but yeah, I do feel like a lot of guys rush it because they ready for that look, they ready for the facial hair, they want the muscles, and it's like that's not how it works. You have to really when I tell people to also too look into your genetics, especially when it comes to facial hair. Because like Brandy was saying, like, with the hair, like my dad will be 60 in May, and his beard will not grow. So I knew that going into it, like, all right, Aiko, you already know what you did. And I'm split image of my father. When I say split image of that man, split image of him, especially since transitioning. That, I know, the facial hair part, it may take some time because your pop's struggling. I got a baby brother. My brother's 31, and we both have baby faces. It's just a genetic thing. But yeah, I do try to stress the guys that, hey man, don't rush it. Like you gotta let your body
Can't
do what it
you
does.
can't rush a rose to
Yes,
bloom.
I like that. I like that. Oh, I like that. I gotta fill that caption. I like that. I like that. I like
Go
But
for
yeah,
it.
they be so excited, and I get it. It's an exciting journey, because you seeing that change, and you ready to see that change, but you can't rush it. Like I didn't notice my face start forming to maybe like after 9 or 10 months. I'm like, yo, like my face is like getting firmer. But yeah, I feel like guys, they do rush it.
Mhm. What is one way that you often guide trans men that seek out advice for you?
One way I got them, it really depends on the topic. For one, I always for one, I always start off as saying, especially when they're starting off, is congratulations. And I say congratulations because just realizing who you are and what you want to do, and that's a big step. That's a huge step. So I always say congratulations, and to always, you got to have to transition. I call it self-love, because you have to love yourself enough to not care what nobody else think about you. Because when you love yourself that much, you're not gonna care what anybody has to say about it. So it really, that's my main thing. Love yourself. Even when it comes to dealing with parents, and dealing with family that don't want to accept it. I hate to say it, but you really have to give that I don't give a F attitude, because you have to choose you. And I had to tell people when it came to like my family that I had some people that was kind of on the rocks about, and it was like it was either save myself and love Aiko, or Aiko was gonna put Aiko in a box.
Mm.
And y'all it's either choose, either you can sit and choose to accept who Aiko is, or you want to sit at my funeral, because I didn't love myself enough to pick myself, to love
There's
myself,
so
because
many,
I'm so worried about what
that's,
you and everybody else gonna think.
there's so many
So that's
people that
yeah, that's I think that's my main guidance. Like you gotta love yourself. You're not hurting nobody. You
Like,
just want to be happy. You want to look in the mirror and see you for who you feel in your mind and in your heart. So love yourself. It's okay to love yourself. Like life is too short not to love yourself. And
like
and
so many people die just not be able to do that, or they become so hateful. And at the end of the
mhm.
day, you gotta say, fuck them, fuck them, fuck.
And it
Don't
listen.
care.
And it
Fuck.
took
They don't care about you, so they want you in the box. You can't.
yeah,
You gotta say fuck them.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, love
Uh
yourself. Yes.
self-love, man. And it took, and like I was saying in the beginning, it took, my best friend dying at 31 due to health complications. Like that was my best friend of 12 years. She didn't get to live her life. And I'm standing here looking at her like, yo, I'll be 32 in like a month. And I could be in this box and I ain't even happy with my life right now. And I know why I'm not happy. But I'm sitting here worried about what everybody else gonna think. That's not love. Like you ain't loving yourself because you putting everybody before you. So that's my main guidance. Like you gotta love yourself.
Which
So
Love
one?
yourself.
personally,
Hmm.
when it comes to the statement of like loving myself, like I found that there was an exact moment where I could say those words and really mean them. Do you have a
Hmm.
moment where you truly looked at yourself and you were able to say I love you and actually mean it?
Yes. Honestly, since transitioning, it's all the time. Like I even have moments where I can just be sitting here like Aiko, like you really did that. Like, boy, getting up looking in the mirror like I love me because for me, I remember at a time, even as a kid, I got bullied a lot. I got teased, like, for being too dark, or I got picked on about my hair. And to a point, like, I hated looking at myself. I hated myself. Like, I really didn't like looking at the mirror. And I didn't like, when certain body parts start coming, it's like, ew. You know what I'm saying? And I think for me, I didn't love myself so much to the point I was trying to get it out of other people. Like I stayed in those relationships that I didn't need to be in because I need somebody to love Aiko. Like I don't love myself. I need somebody to do it for me. So now it's so easy now for me. Now it's like, yo, like, and I'll tell anybody, like, my peace is more important than any relationship. My peace is more important than anybody walking this earth. Like, if you can't bring me peace, if you can't bring me what I fought so hard to get to for these past couple of years, I don't need you. It's so easy for me to walk away from relationships. It's so easy for me to walk away from friendships. And it's like, because I know how far I've came to get here, to grab this peace. Like, a lot of people can't walk this earth and say, I have peace walking this earth. It's always, oh, you at peace when you die. No, you can find peace on earth.
Mm.
Totally. They try to make it seem like you can only have heaven when you die. We can have these things while we're here and now. There's no need to wait any longer. We don't need to abuse one another. Like if we
Right.
just yeah, 100. I feel you.
And I feel like that peace comes from self-love. Because when you love yourself enough, you love yourself enough to know what you deserve. And if you love yourself to know, I don't deserve the way you talking to me. I don't deserve the way you treating me. I love myself enough to be by myself. I love myself enough to be my own friend. Like I don't have to deal with that. And when I really grasped that's where really honestly when I met my wife. Because I like, you acting like this, you treat me like I ain't gotta put up with this, walk away, walk away, walk away until it's just you're not finna interrupt my peace. Like I got family now that I had to walk away from, and I'm fine with it.
So you're
I'm
really
totally
how did you meet your partner?
that story is crazy. I actually met my wife 5 years ago, one time, and the crazy thing, I actually DJ her wedding, right?
What?
So what happened? Yeah, I DJ my wife's wedding. I had never. That was the. I DJ my wife's wedding. The ex is actually the one that booked me that I knew from like in the clubs and stuff, but we was not friends or we never hung out or nothing like that. She just followed my social media. So I DJ her wedding. I met my wife that one time. She came up, introduced herself. You killing this. I was like, congratulations, thank you for having me. And it's like when she walked up to me, like her vibe was like she just seemed like a cool person. And it's crazy because when I DJ'd her wedding, her first wedding, I was supposed to get married that May to somebody. But I ended up calling off my engagement because I found out that my ex-fiance was having an affair on me. And so, we stood and I was like, yeah, I was supposed to get married in May, found out my ex was cheating on me. She's like, oh, like, I hate that. Like, I hate that, it didn't work out for you, da, 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 whatever. That was it. I never seen her again. Never. She reached out to me one time because when she saw that my mom had passed away, she followed my Snapchat, I think. She found out my mom and I still did not know her name. And she reached out. She was like, I'm so sorry to hear about your mom. If you need anything from us, reach out. We here. Cool. And I was like, I appreciate it. So after I buried my mom, I gave everybody, I gave a couple of people shout outs, and she was the only client, like from a business standpoint, that reached out and sent her condolences. And so she took a picture with me at her wedding and still did not know her name. I posted her on my social media and I was like, thank you so much. You reached out to me. You didn't have to do that. You didn't know me from a can of paint. I appreciate it. And so I never heard from her again. Like, she would like say something on my Snap here and there, but she never like came at me disrespectfully or none of that form. And then for a while I didn't see her anymore. And I'm like, I wonder what whatever her name is. I was going by her Snapchat name. I knew that wasn't her name. But I wasn't seeing her on my social media anymore, and I didn't think no more of it. So at the end of last year, not last year, the year before, I was in my dating phase and I was just over it. Like, I was dating and it wasn't working. And I was like, I'm done. Like, love is not for me. People was like, oh, you trans, you're not gonna find nobody who want to be with you. And I'm like, they probably right. Like, I'm done. I'm done. And so I was at home. I was at home one day and she hit my Snap. And I was like, hey, stranger, like, I ain't heard from you in a while. Like, what's going on? And she was like, bro, I'm getting a divorce. And I'm like, no, like, what happened? And so we continue to just talk through Snap. And I'm like, yo, like, don't let that discourage you. Like, I'm sorry it didn't work out. Just really trying to be a friend. And that's when I learned that the ex-wife didn't want her being my friend because I gave her a shout out for sending her condolences. And I was like, are you serious? I was wondering why you deleted me, but I didn't, I'm not finna hit you up and be like, oh, why you delete me on social media? Like, I didn't think no more of it. But, clearly the ex had an issue with me being her friend or whatever. But anyway, we just started talking, and this was I was coming up on my first Christmas without my mom. And nope, not my first Christmas. This was gonna be might have been my first or my second. But holidays for me are tough because me and my mom was the only person I exchanged gifts with. And so she was like, yo, like, you want to do a gift exchange? I know what the holidays are for you, this and the third, yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, yeah, cool. She came up, we hung out, and I ended up asking her out the beginning of the year, which was 2022. I asked her out. And she accepted. So we started dating, and I actually got in 2 car wrecks within a month. I lost control of my first car, which shook me up, and then a month later I got hit by a drunk driver. So that moment I was like, yo, like, it was really like a light, like, yo, like, I proposed to her because I was like, yo, I could have died. Like, I know how I feel about you, and I want to be with you for the rest of my life. Like, and come to find out, she had already bought me a ring that I didn't know about. So she ended up proposing to me after I proposed to her. But she is amazing. She accepts me for who I am. I'm actually the first man she's ever been with in her life. Like, she's always been with women. Like, never been with a man, never, no type of form of a man. And so that right there was like, you accept me for me, you love me, you support me, and I can't talk about her without or express how I feel about her without crying. And that's my world. Like, that's my light. That's my support. That's my best friend. So that is how we met.
Okay, that makes me want to ask a question of,
Mhm.
um, you know, that's hold on, we trying to park. Yes, turn right here and park right behind, right there. Okay, that's not my question. My question is that makes me think about life and regrets and stuff like that. And I feel like
Mhm.
being part of this community and following through, that's one way to prevent regrets. Do you see anything that you might want to do or might need to be done to like prevent any further regrets? Anything else that might be standing in your way, or anything like that?
Not really. I don't. For me, it's like I'm trying to figure out how can I word it. For me, what's gonna happen is gonna happen. What's supposed to happen is gonna happen. I never really sit and dwell on the word regret. I make the choices that I feel that I should be making, and if it's the wrong choice, God gonna show me it's the wrong choice. So I
Okay.
don't really.
Okay. The reason why I bring it up, I was trying to bring it back to activism and advocacy because, like, we constantly need that on a daily basis. Because, like I said,
Mhm.
they're trying to eradicate us.
Yeah.
What to these people after we know about them, after them coming out the closets, all of them
Mhm.
having their secrets exposed, all that we know what we know now. What do you have to say to the policymakers, lawmakers, not both Republican and Democrat, who are anti-LGBTQ and such? Do you have anything that you want to say to them, or a message?
Like, we not going nowhere.
Mm, right.
That pretty much what sums it up. Like, no matter what kind of law, like, we are here, we exist. We not going nowhere.
We
Like,
here, baby.
that's the only way I can put it. Like, we exist, we're human, we're not going nowhere. No matter what you try to do, whatever y'all do. And I think that's another reason why, honestly, I think that's why it's hard for me to kind of really fall into the politics as deep. I don't, everybody got their own thing or what they do, but I think that's why I don't really dwell in it as much as because, like, bro, we not going nowhere.
Hell, we was here before them.
we not go- we not going nowhere. It's not, back then, a lot of people stayed in the closet and they was hiding who they was. Now it's like 100 times people are, and I think that's why they're getting so upset, is because people are starting to be more visible with themselves and who they are. So it's like you can keep track, but we're not going nowhere. This not the 60s and the 50s where people are so scared to come out. I mean, you still got some that are, but now we're not going nowhere. That's the
Nobody
only
gonna
way I can
straight
sum it up.
stone them. Nobody gonna say that
That's the
shit no
only way
more.
I can sum it up. We are not going anywhere. That's just like, for me, like, at one point, and now y'all try to get rid of black people. Where we
Mm.
going? Where are we going? No way. We are here.
Hell, even if they do somehow get rid of all the people who are darker skin tone, so that they're what's next? They're gonna start going after people who have dark ancestry. Then who's gonna be left?
But even
They're like who?
that's
Then
even
they
if you
get rid of all the gay people. Then they're gonna get rid of all the people
and
who suspect to be gay. Who's gonna?
and I hate
There's no end game to that. There's literally no end
and
game.
I hate when I watch videos and I can't remember the lady name off the top of my head. I know she's it's a white lady. She got the short gray hair. She wear glasses. I've seen I can't think of that lady name for nothing. But even white people, you have some type of percentage of black in you.
Mm-hmm.
You have a percentage of black in you. So again, that's just like when people try to, this racism and trying to get rid of blacks. It's the same way with us. We here.
Mm-hmm.
Because back then, as African Americans, they were scared to, buck up at the white man and sit in fear. Now, try it now.
Mm.
It's the same way with us. We not going nowhere, and that's all I can say on it. Like, y'all can keep trying, y'all can make. It's too many people with their feet on the ground, and we have the support.
All right.
Everybody against us. You got non-trans people that support us. So it's like we not going nowhere, bro. Y'all can try to do everything y'all want to do, and whatever laws y'all trying to pass, man, we not going. That's all I got to say on it.
So I
Uh-huh.
want to ask you a couple big, like, broad questions, if you don't mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, go ahead.
So we talked a little bit ago about like 5 years or whatever, but like realistically, I want to find out, like, if there's like you had infinite budget, no like stipulations, what kind of gesture would you make that like you think you could put your whole heart soul behind? Is there like a project that like perfect world that you would be able to set up that would speak to everything about who you are, or like something that you could really put yourself behind that says this is who we are as trans people, this is who I am as a trans man, and this is my art?
That's a good question. I'm actually doing well. I have a project now, but I won't really consider it as like towards the trans community. It's just trying to help people overall. Um, and I do it through sneakers. I take sneakers that are unwanted, that people don't, trash, get rid of. I revamp them into something new. It's something about taking something that's so trashed up that people don't want and making it into something new that somebody could use. Um, but if I had the money, like, oh man, that's a good question. I don't even think I really thought about it like that. It's so much that I've always wanted to do, but money make the world go round. God, I'm gonna have to come back. So you got me thinking on that one. I never thought about it.
I like to do that. I like
I
to do
know.
that. Let me ask my last like big question then. So with the statement of like we've always been here, right? Trans
Mhm,
people, queer people, we've always been here. We're not going anywhere.
mhm,
Um, ha what kind of statement would you make towards the trans or trans people, the queer people, gay people who are watching as our kind of legislature, our laws are moving in a direction of erasing our identities and trying to
mhm,
push us into the shadows?
mhm,
What statement would you make to them to remind them that this is temporary and that we will win out?
mhm. For me, it's honestly keep keep walking in your truth. Like, don't stop being you, because when you stop being who you are and when you hide, you letting them win. Keep being you. Remember how far and how long it took you to get to where you are right now, because a lot of us struggle with that. A lot of us, had to really sit in and dwell on, do I want to make this choice, or, whatever, whatever, whatever. Like, don't stop being yourself. Keep living in your truth. Do not let this stop you. Like, in life, you're gonna always be barriers are always gonna be thrown in front of you. Just because something is thrown in front of you to block you, don't let it. Find a way to move around it. Don't stop, because when you stop, you letting it win. Whatever it is that's trying to stop you from doing what you're doing, and whatever it is that's trying to stop you from being yourself. Once you stop, they've won. So keep moving, keep pushing. Don't let this stop you from being who you are. Because life is short. Life is so short, and I say this because I've been through it. I go through it. Like, life is too short. And a quote that I always use, especially when I vlog, like, if it's not hurting you or harming others, do what makes you happy. So you being you, and you're waking up to what makes you happy, and when you look at yourself in the mirror, don't let nothing stop that from taking that happiness away from you, no matter how hard they try. It's temporary. All storms are temporary. The biggest the biggest challenge is getting through the storm and not drowning in it. You got to keep going till you get to the sunlight, because storms don't always last.
Aiko, can you reflect on like a memory that stands out to you in your journey or in your life in its total? I don't know what I'm trying to say with that question. Sorry. Do you have a memory that stands out to you that is meaningful, that you cherish moving through your life, that helps you get through?
The biggest thing, this was this was like a couple years before I transitioned. Me and my mom, I went to go visit my mom, and she was in the kitchen how she always is, and I was just sitting there on my phone or something, and she was like, "You a strong person," and I stopped because, like, what you talking about? She's like, "You a strong person," and I was like, "Mom, what you mean?" She was like, "No matter how tough something is, you don't back out. You get through it until it passes. Like, you're a very strong person. And I didn't really think about that conversation until after she passed. And I think that's what helps me get through a lot of things that are, kind of hard on me if I'm like really going through a moment that, I am a strong person. And that again, it's temporary, and I just sit in whatever I need to sit in for me to get through it, because God is taking me through it for a reason. Everything in life is for a reason. No matter how bad it is, or God will put you through everything. You go through things for a reason. It's just, are you willing to learn from it?
As we move forward and we step away from this conversation and go back into the world, what is how, considering all that we're going through right now, the legislation, the transphobic people on the internet, just the onslaught of just absolute like terror towards our community, what do we do going forward to try to get to a point where we can begin to get to a better place?
Honestly, that's like, man, we just got to continue to fight, man. Like, we won't get anywhere if we don't stand up. And for me, again, it's like, I'm not, again, like I say, I try to listen to as much as I can when I can. I don't like dwell into it too much, because I know it's people that's in place to do that work. You know what I'm saying? I do what I can on my end. I know I can't do everything. I can't go, you know, stand in front of the state house. It's a lot of stuff that I'm not able to do, but I know God has people in place to do that. And I continue to walk and do what I need to do, but I just feel like, man, we got to keep going. We cannot stop. Like, we have come so far. Even as a LGBTQ plus community, period, we have came so far. So for me, it's just like, we got to keep moving. Like, we cannot stop no matter how hard it gets. We just got to keep going. However we can do it. Whatever you're able to do it. So for me, that's like don't stop. Like, keep going. Don't stop. Because the minute we stop, we will fail. However, you can move. Everybody can't move how other people move. So even for me, if it's you know offering my services to whatever event or whatever rally, or whatever, if that's something, if I can do that, I'm gonna do that. I can't do what I know I can't do. So however I can do it, and whatever God put me in position to do it to help fight, then I'm here. But we just got to keep going, man. We can't stop.
And Aiko Finesse, thank you so much
Yeah.
for joining us this afternoon. It's been awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate you for having me, man. I really enjoyed it. And Ocean, I'll need to follow your social media too. I'll add a follower to that as well. To your
Oh, did
following.
you?
No, I said I will. Just let me know what your
Okay,
following
okay.
is, and I'll
You
I'll
you
hop
can
on
you
it.
can you can find me under that name.
Okay. Okay, I got
All
Cool.
right.
you.
Well, that was awesome. Thank you so much. I
Cool.
that concludes our recording portion, and now we're gonna do some outros, and then we can talk outside of the show. So